It is 20 minutes, 19 make it now before the hour. Professor Raymond Tanter is with us, adjunct professor and visiting researcher at Georgetown University and professor emeritus at the University of Michigan, the author of President, Iran Policy Committee, and the author of Rogue Regimes, Terrorism and Proliferation, many, many books, including President Obama and Iraq Toward a Responsible Troop Drawdown. Just Google his name up, and you will find them all. Thanks for being available. Good to talk to you again.
Thank you, Michael Patrick, and don't forget about the book, President Obama and Iran.
President Obama and Iran, two very sensational topics. Also the sensational topic we heard now, some message from al-Qaeda that called for cells in London, Paris, and suburban Detroit to be ready for holy war and to perform the individual obligation of jihad. I don't hear Detroit mentioned very often in the company of London and Paris, and in this case, I wish it weren't, if you know what I mean.
Well, Michael Patrick, the fact that Gadan, a 32-year-old California-raised Muslim convert, said in his 40-minute English-language video that Detroit should be looked at in relation to Paris and London suggests that the target is really Paris and London. Why? Dearborn is not like the other two places where, in France, for example, the Muslim population is concentrated there by government policy as well as by choice, whereas Dearborn is a middle-class suburb.
Yeah, and in fact, the message went so far as to say the miserable suburbs of Detroit, London, and Paris. So why do you think they decided to say that?
Well, because the suburbs of Paris are miserable. They're housing projects erected by the government of France, and the immigrant Muslim population is simply packed into these places, and it's almost by government policy, but that is not the case in Dearborn.
No, I mean, if you go to Dearborn, you can see, obviously, you can go a couple-mile stretch on Warren Avenue there and Ford Road to some degree where you see almost all of the signs written in Arabic. It's striking for someone who comes from, say, Mount Pleasant or Grand Rapids to take a drive to Detroit and see the level of culture and it's, in some degree, concentration there of the Middle Easterners living in Dearborn.
Right, but the story behind the story, Michael Patrick, is that American officials are struggling to define and meet the growing threat of homegrown terrorism and domestic radicalization. And in fact, a study last month by the congressional researchers identified some 20 arrests in U.S. homegrown Islamic extremist terrorist plots between May 2009 and August 2010, and that's more than 3 times the number in a single year since 2001, Michael Patrick.
We talked a little bit earlier with Victor Berg. He is the chairman of the Council of Islamic Organizations in Michigan, and he said that the reason this gets so much attention is that the media, I guess including me, likes to repeat these stories. And he said if we hadn't put it in the media, no one would even know that this guy in California, whoever he is, the American spokesperson for al-Qaeda, so-called, even issued this statement.
Well, look, liberty is saved in this country by institutions like the free press. And the gentleman who said that has no understanding of the role of the free press. And I mean the free press, I mean the Detroit News as well, right?
Yeah. And Grand Rapids Press,
et
cetera.
In helping to ensure liberty in this country. There's a difference between liberal democracy, which means that you have institutions that preserve liberty on one hand, and electoral-based democracy, which is just one man, one vote, one person, one vote. So I don't think this gentleman understands what liberty is about.
Well, I guess if somebody gets it in their head that they're going to issue this kind of message and put it up on websites, and somebody gets it in their head in Dearborn that I'm the one he's talking to, it's going to be pretty tough to stop them, isn't it?
Right. Lone wolf attackers can strike without having had any contact with terrorist groups abroad, and without such attack abroad, without such contacts, Michael Patrick, they cannot be detected by travel analysis or other intelligence means.
That Congressman Rogers told us a few minutes ago from the Intelligence Committee. It's a known unknown.
Precisely.
Thank you very much. Good to talk to you again. Go Blue. And remember, the book is President Obama and Iran by Professor Raymond Tanter. Professor Emeritus, University of Michigan, and Georgetown University, now where he lives in Washington, D.C. Michael Patrick Shields, 14 before the hour.